Good evening. Topic at hand: CAPITALISM. I had to spell it like this with these gestures because when I originally tried to make this video, it wasn't that dark, and there was a kid passing by with his American father. And it wasn't his, it was her American father. Sorry. But back to the thing. This video is about that simple word. Okay? Simply put, this word entails capital and then ISM at the end. What that means is that is the main goal. That is the all about. That is the end all be all. Okay? This video is made for educational purposes, which entails me breaking down exactly everything that is so simple about this word. So we have experiences, commonly speaking, with this word, either from the news, either you live in a country or come from a country that practices the system, or probably not just practices it, but excels or thrives on this system. Okay, so here I am, just turning off the car. But since my aim is a broad it's a broad type of people, too many people, so I'm just saying things that we all know, or we know of, that we all have in common. So for example, you got all these events taking place that have a negative outcome. It doesn't matter in what areas, they all have a negative outcome. So the main characteristic of this system is that you cannot break it. You cannot weaken it, and you might end up destroying yourself by attempting to do so, whether it is your health, physical or mental health. Okay, so that's one thing we all have knowledge of. Attempts being made to bring down the thing, bring down the system, bring down blah 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 blah. Or not just the system, but let's say a country or certain, aspects of a country that are so-called, unacceptable, or things like this. So basically, you have three main aspects of this system that makes it really hard for somebody to take on. Why? Because it's just too much. What do I mean by it is too much? Well, I mean that the word itself means capital is the end all be all. And having said that, that means is whoever is capable of creating the most capital. Well, that's where you will end up at. That's how far your rich can get. That is how better off you are going to be for the time of your existence, for the time of your relative life, and for the time of your legacy or descendants or the time of your whatever. That is simply it. Okay. So you have three things in that system. One is called perspective, which is sacred. The other one called morale, but I'm missing a word that comes with that morale, and that is subjective morale. But why? What do you mean by subjective morale? What does that even actually is? And I didn't even frame the question grammatically speaking well, but because that's kind of like how it sounds. Well, subjective morale is simply, let's say, something that truly has to be kept up high, very, very high, in order for this system to make any sense. So that is it. That is why it's called subjective morale. So now you have the third thing, which is capital, I believe. No, what is enforcement of the two. Enforcement of the two. So how do you actually enforce, the subjective morale ability to remain high? How do you enforce the this morale? This perspective to be unchangeable. Well, you have means, you have tangible means, and you have untangible means. What do you mean tangible and untangible means? Well, I myself I'm a human, so I have tangible characteristics that, depending on the person that is looking at me, or depending on the person that is listening to me, might end up, seeing some good things or bad things, or very okay or whatever. Now the intangible things is the same. It can be deemed in a good way, in a bad way, in a regular way, or just be called something else. So these ways of enforcement, they come in those ways, through tangible means or through intangible means. Because we're talking about a system, you can now more or less give it some thought and know exactly what I'm talking about. So, having said that, if an individual tries to take on either of the three, how is it possible that this individual has even more of that that the capitalistic system is all about? It's impossible, literally impossible. Why? Because you simply are not capable of having those three things under control on your own, let alone at such a large scale within many societies, or a society itself, just one. It doesn't have to be multiple, but it's literally impossible. You might think that you have those, that you have that, but as a fact, that's just a lie. So in order for an individual to thrive in such a system, you have to be or acknowledge from the get-go, at an early stage in your life, that you're a mediocre. I am not bullying nobody, and I'm not into into self-harm to my own thinking or things of this nature. What I'm referring to is that if you know that you see something as too much to take on, as something as like too much to take care of, too much to be managing, too much to X or Y things, whether that is realistically a fact or not, the person itself that deems it in that way have the answer. But if you deep within yourself know that you simply are a mediocre and that you enjoy, being like, well, this and that and this, but not necessarily fully conscious about it, like you enjoy not having to do that much. Well, congratulations, you made the first requirement, which is to be a mediocre. Now the second requirement is the tricky part. Why? Because it is all about your true it. What is that you are all about? And that always goes into a career through school, and it always goes through a job, or work. Not necessarily call it a job, just work. So those are the two things that have to be figured out before the individual can literally set the limits or set um, the bar as high as the individual wants, and it's a matter of will whether that person reaches it or not. But that is the trick. If the person is now on that stage, and if the person is fully aware of that thing, well, that means that this person is capable of acquiring a good amount of, or a big deal of benefits from such circumstances. Okay, so if that is made possible, and it's truly it's truly your thing, where you are at school, what you're trying to study or prepare for, what you're trying to achieve with the work you're doing, or things like this, well, yes, it's that simple. So basically, once you hit those two, the third aspect is to basically now remain the person that sets the bar as high as you want, or basically own the fully own the say as far as how the bar gets set, how how far or how tall or how high the bar gets set, or own basically the means through which you move up the bar to be set at a certain height. So then once that is accomplished, you are set for as long as you want. Why? What does that have to do with mediocrity? Well, capitalism is all about acquiring capital and maintaining it, in an incoming way, nor not on a outgoing way, but in an incoming way. So that's basically it. That's as simple as it gets. And now, on the other hand, if you're not actually accurate, the it that you think it is for you, or is meant to be for you, in reality is not a fact, then you might linger in that environment or in those circumstances for a while, and you might be okay, nothing might go left, or the worst case or the best case scenario, you just end up getting bored about those circumstances or the situations that come with them, and you just quit or just change it, or if you don't mind it too much, then you just you know keep being there, basically. If the worst case scenario takes place, you're gonna end up either fucked up or messed up. Why do I say fucked up? Well, basically, you are not aware of the circumstances that are set, and you are there trying so hard, or you know doing as though it is meant for you and nobody else. That can get you into trouble. Not necessarily that you're gonna cause trouble, it could be, but I mean, it's simply a negative scenario. It's gonna be coming your way no matter what. It's just a matter of when, and no matter how. It's simply a matter of when. So yeah, that's simply it. Um, anything else? And anything else, and I mean like the experiences that you might have within that system, or while you get there, or while you get, you know, you advance, you put your time in and time in, and you don't stop and you keep going. All those things, um, you would see it as simply things that are meant to be happening, and if it's truly your thing, it's truly your it, then those events taking place, you're gonna end up enjoying it and letting them be, and then once they're over, you just keep on going. Why? Because by then you're fully aware this is your it, and you know that those experiences that you enjoyed that are now over, they will repeat themselves again in the future. When? Time will tell. Why? Because it is your thing, it is meant for you, and you are interested in keeping on going. On the other hand, experiences that entails not your your own thing, well, experiences might be displeasing. Experiences, if not displeasing, then they're gonna be very distracting, time consuming. You know, the amount of effort you have to put on them is overwhelming, or if it's not overwhelming, it's simply not interesting enough for your type of being, personality per se, whatever you want to call it. And it will at some point be like, this doesn't make sense. But you might need, I guess, the recognition, the money, the name, the blah, 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 blah. And you might feel like you need that thing, but eventually you're gonna end up either fucked up or messed up. So that's as simple as capitalism is. Who I am? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Well, I'm somebody that happens to know a few things without the need to go through all of them in order for me to figure it out, in order for me to be able to tell, in order for me to be able to enjoy, to back off from in order for me to be able to avoid, to not grow interest in, or to not fall for. That's basically who I am. Basically proves the point that, I started off this series of videos with, which is I thrive by myself. I thrive on my own for that very same reason. I don't like distraction. I like to enjoy the things that come my way because they're meant to come my way. And that's it. I don't try to go for anything else because that's where simply I live. Yeah, I have a clear understanding of what a possible mix of the two would be like. A mix of communism with capitalism that take place maybe in planet Mars, and Mars has vegetables and fruits, and for everybody to enjoy, that doesn't stop growing, and that requires little to no effort at all to maintain, and that we don't really need to have a need to spend time gathering resources just because you know we just basically don't need to acquire capital in order for us to have the resources, because capital simply doesn't exist. That's basically the mixture of the two. That's basically the ideal scenario of a mix of communism with capitalism coexisting and having the best life, but the best time of their lives, giving people a blast at every stage of a person's life. Yeah. Anyways, it's about to be 30 minutes on this video. Nothing else really to be said. Thank you so much for watching. Any comments, feel free to leave them down below. Any remarks, any highlights, feel free to tell me. I like communication, and this is the purpose of interdependence, communication. So thank you so much. See you next video.